Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are traveling back in time, and I mean really traveling. We're dropping ourselves right into the mud, the mist, and the high-stakes tension of Northern Ireland in the early autumn of 1295 AD.
It is a fascinating era. I mean, you have the Englishry, the Norman settlers, and they're trying to hold on to their borders, hold up in their big stone fortresses.
Right.
But then you have the Irish clans controlling, well, everything else. The hills, the forests, what the source material calls the wild side.
And the tension is just, it's so thick you could cut it with a knife.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And the story we're unpacking today, which is based on the historical romance of the Irish warrior, it isn't just a battle of swords. It's this incredibly unique collision of commerce, specifically the wool trade, and alchemy.
Yes, and survival.
We have survival, we have spies, and we have a very unlikely duo on the run.
It really is a story about value. I mean, what do we value? Is it gold? Is it heritage? Or is it the secret knowledge that can destroy a kingdom?
That's a great point.
Because at its heart, this isn't just a romance or an adventure. It is, and I love this angle, it's a story about the weaponization of supply chains.
That is a great way to frame it.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the harrowing escape of an English wool merchant named Senna de Valery, and an Irish warrior named Finian O'Malachlin, from the clutches of a truly nasty piece of work, Lord Rardov.
A real villain.
Oh, yeah. We need to understand how economic desperation and these, ancient secrets just collide.
And right off the bat, the source material gives us such a vivid picture of these protagonists. I mean, Senna de Valery is not your typical medieval damsel just, waiting in a tower.
Not at all. She's 25 years old, and she is a businesswoman through and through. The text describes her as viewing the world through ledgers.
I love that.
She's obsessed with numbers. She manages accounts. She hires carters. She charters ships. She's basically a CFO in a tunic.
Which is, in a way, a defense mechanism, really.
How so?
Well, we learn that her father, Sir Gerald, has gambled away the family fortune completely. So Senna has spent 10 years trying to build a business to keep them afloat while he just throws it all away.
Wow.
So she values control because her life has been so completely out of control. She finds comfort in the predictability of a balance sheet,
That makes so much sense. If the world is chaotic, you want the math to make sense.
Exactly.
And then we have Finian. He is the complete opposite. He's an Irish noble, a warrior, and the chief counselor to the O'Fale king.
Finian is the wild side personified. He's a spy and a diplomat. He knows the terrain of Ireland, intimately.
Like the back of his hand.
Right. And he's physically powerful, sure, but he's also incredibly sharp. He operates in the shadows, and he's in this situation because he was sent on a mission to parley, but he walked right into a trap.
So we have the accountant and the spy.
Yes.
And they are thrown together by a common enemy, Lord Rardov. Let's talk about this guy. He's the definition of a rogue baron. He's English, holding a fortress on the Irish marches, and he is just desperate.
Desperation is absolutely the key word for Rardov. He's like a middle manager who is failing to meet his quotas, essentially.
That's a good way to put it.
He's hiding these treasonous secrets from King Edward I, and he is willing to do absolutely anything to secure his position. He represents the corruption of the feudal system where power just justifies any means.
Which brings us to section 1 of our dive, the trap. Why is an English wool merchant, a woman obsessed with ledgers and ships, walking into a dangerous border castle? It's not for romance.
No, it's purely economic. Senna has bred a very specific, very valuable strain of sheep. The text describes them as having stinky, furry wool.
I love that detail, stinky and furry. It sounds awful to a modern ear, right? Why on earth would anyone want stinky wool?
Well, in 1295, everyone, that stink is lanolin. It means the wool is water-resistant, it's heavy, and it's incredibly durable.
Oh, I see.
In a climate like Northern Ireland or Scotland, that stuff is better than gold. It keeps you alive.
So it's functional fashion. High-performance gear for the 13th century.
Exactly, and Senna needs capital to save her business. She's there because she expects to sign a contract with Rardov for 1,000 French livres in exchange for this wool.
Which is a fortune.
A huge sum. She views him as just another business partner. She thinks she's there for a simple B2B transaction.
But Rardov, he doesn't care about the sheep. Not one bit.
Not a bit. This is where the alchemy comes in. Rardov lured Senna there because of her bloodline. He believes she is a dye witch, just like her mother was.
Okay, let's unpack this dye witch concept. This isn't magic in the, spell casting sense, right? We aren't talking about wands and potions.
Precisely. It's ancient chemistry. To the uneducated eye in the 13th century, complex chemistry looks exactly like magic. The source material talks about the Wishmé mollusks. These are legendary shellfish found on the Irish coast.
Kind of like the murex snails used for Tyrian purple in the Roman Empire.
Exactly the same concept. The legend says that if you process them correctly, they create this blue-black indigo dye that's so stunning it was once reserved for royalty. We're talking Roman legends here. A color so blue it almost glows in the dark.
But Radov isn't an artist. He's not trying to make pretty tapestries for his castle walls. He doesn't seem like the type.
No. And here's where it gets really interesting and frankly terrifying. Radov wants the Wishmés because the processed powder isn't just a dye, it's incendiary.
It's a bomb.
It is a chemical weapon. The text says it can cause explosions powerful enough to blow the roof off Dublin Abbey or just incinerate a man where he stands.
Oh.
Radov wants to weaponize this.
That is a massive escalation. I mean, we're talking about gunpowder level technology in a sword fighting era. That's a game changer.
A huge one. And the geopolitical stakes are huge. Radov plans to give this weapon to King Edward I to help conquer the Scots.
Right.
Remember, at this point, the Scots are allying with France, the Auld Alliance, and they're a constant threat to England.
So if Radov can hand King Edward a weapon that acts like, what, Greek fire?
Yeah, basically. Then he goes from being a failing rogue baron to the savior of the crown. His problems are solved.
But to do that, he needs the recipe. He needs someone to process the mollusks. He thinks Senna has that knowledge in her blood because of her mother.
So he springs the trap. Radov reveals he has forged a marriage document. He tells her, essentially, you're staying, you are my wife, and you're making the dye for me.
It's just a nightmare scenario. And Senna's reaction is incredible. She's terrified, shaking in her boots, but she refuses to submit.
Yeah.
There's this scene at dinner where Radov tells her to eat, and she just says no.
And she spills his wine, this precious, expensive wine. She just tips the goblet over. It's this fantastic, symbolic rejection of his hospitality, which is really imprisonment.
It's her one act of defiance.
Right.
But Radov responds with absolute brutality, smashes her hand with a nutcracker.
It's gruesome.
Yeah.
He breaks her fingers to force compliance, and it shows how irrational he is. I mean, he destroys the very tools, her hands, that he needs her to use to make the dye.
That's a good point.
Is violence born of pure desperation?
And this is where our two protagonists first connect. Finian is there, right? He's in the room.
He is. He's chained up in the Great Hall, having been beaten and tortured because Radov is trying to get information out of him about the dyes as well.
Of course.
Remember, the Wishmé secret originally belonged to the Irish clans, to Finian's ancestors. So he's there, watching all this unfold, and he sees Senna's act of defiance.
And they have this silent moment. The book describes it so well. He looks at her, and she hears him, maybe telepathically, maybe just intuitively saying, "Don't surrender."
It's the catalyst. That connection gives her the strength to resist the despair. Senna realizes she isn't alone. And that leads us directly into Section 2, the unlikely alliance and the jailbreak.
This jailbreak sequence is fantastic because it highlights Senna's specific skill set. It isn't just brute force, it's Senna using her wits.
Oh, absolutely.
She creates this persona of the new chatelaine, the lady of the castle.
She essentially gaslights the entire castle staff. It's brilliant. She leverages the guards' assumptions about women and power. They see a woman in a nice dress, acting haughty, claiming she's inspecting the castle for Radov.
And they're terrified of Radov.
Exactly. So they obey her. She treats it like a game, acting erratic to keep them off balance.
She's walking around saying, "Oh, I'm just checking the dungeons, don't mind me." And she's armed with whiskey.
Whiskey laced with valerian root. She drugs the guards. It's a brilliant use of the resources she has on hand. While Radov is incapacitated, because she slipped herbs to him too, she's stealing clothes, flint, food. She clears the board before she makes her move.
Like a chess player.
Precisely.
So she gets the keys, she gets Finian out of the cell. But getting out of the cell is the easy part. They have to get out of the castle walls.
And Finian is in bad shape. His back has been shredded by whips. He's been beaten. But his warrior instincts just take over. They make their way to the blacksmith's hut.
This part stressed me out. They have to climb to a loft window. And Senna is not a climber. She's a merchant. She spent her life at a desk.
Right. And the book makes that so clear. Finian has to physically boost her up the wall. She's stepping on his shoulders, scrambling through this tiny window. It highlights the contrast between them immediately.
He's the physical competence.
Personified. And she is struggling against her own limitations, but pushing through with sheer grit.
And inside the blacksmith's loft, luck, or maybe fate intervenes. She finds a sword.
Not just any sword, it's Finian's own sword. A kingly blade with magical stabbards, according to the lore in the book. That's a massive stroke of luck. It's a huge morale boost for Finian.
But then they face the drop.
The drop from the Bailey wall.
It's terrifying. They have to jump into a pile of rotting garden clippings in the moat garden, and Senna freezes. Logic tells her to jump, but her body just refuses. She literally cannot make herself do it.
It's such a human moment.
So Finian pushes her.
He does. He just pushes her off the wall. It's practical. There's no time for coddling or negotiation.
No time for a pep talk.
None. They land in the muck, and now they have to get out the main gate.
And this is my favorite part of the escape, the gate bluff. They are sneaking out behind a group of soldiers who are distracted. Why are they distracted?
Because of a workplace accident, essentially.
Uh-huh.
One of the guards threw another guard over the wall in a drunken rage. So the whole garrison is distracted, fishing the dead body out of the moat. It's chaotic, it's gruesome, but it provides the perfect cover.
It's dark humor at its finest. Senna and Finian just slip out right behind the retrieval team.
Yeah.
Talk about seizing an opportunity.
It shows that in a chaotic system, if you just act with confidence, you can walk right out the front door and no one even notices.
So they are out. They're in the wild side now. This brings us to Section 3, Survival and Logistics. Because escaping the castle is only step one. Surviving the Irish wilderness in autumn is a whole other problem.
And the pain, we have to remember the physical toll here. Finian is running on adrenaline and warrior conditioning, but his back is a bloody mess. And Senna's fingers are broken and they've been poorly set, so she's in constant throbbing pain.
And they immediately hit a massive obstacle. The Banyan River.
This isn't some gentle stream. It's a rushing, dangerous river. And there's no bridge they can use safely because, the bridges will be watched.
They'll be the first place Rardov looks.
Exactly. So they have to cross on a series of 15 jagged boulders.
In the moonlight.
In the moonlight. Slippery with moss. This scene really defines their partnership, I think. Senna is terrified. The text mentions she tries to calculate the physics, the rate of the current versus the distance.
Of course she does. The accountant.
She's trying to logic her way across a physical hazard.
Which is a classic coping mechanism for her. But logic doesn't help you jump 4 feet onto a wet rock in the dark.
No. And the final boulder is the worst. It's too far. Senna knows she can't make it. Finian knows she can't make it. So we get the toss.
Finian literally throws her across the river.
He does. He tells her not to push off, just to let him throw her. But she pushes off anyway, maybe trying to help, or maybe just pure panic, and she slams into the rock face.
Oh, man.
She has to claw her way up. It's visceral. She's hanging on by her fingertips, her broken fingertips, dragging herself up the wet stone.
That image makes me wince. But she makes it. And that moment cements something between them. They aren't just rescuer and victim anymore. They're survivors together.
It shifts the dynamic completely. She saved herself on that rock. But immediately after surviving the river, they hit a conflict of strategy.
Right. Senna wants to go to Dublin.
Which makes sense, right. To a modern listener, or even a medieval merchant, Dublin represents civilization. It's ships, it's England, it's safety.
To a merchant, yes. But to a warrior who knows Rardov, Dublin is a trap.
A huge trap. Finian knows Rardov will hunt them on the King's Highway. He knows the ports will be watched. He insists on going into the hills, the wild side.
Senna hates this. She wants a plan she understands, a ledger. But Finian reveals the real mission. They aren't just running away from Rardov.
They are running towards something.
Exactly. They are heading to a town called Hutton's Leap to intercept the die manual.
And Finian is still on the job. He still has a mission. He needs to stop Rardov from getting that recipe. It's not just about his life, or Senna's. It's about stopping the proliferation of a chemical weapon. He puts the mission above his own safety.
Which is such a contrast to Senna's initial motivation, which was purely about money and survival. So let's look at the characters deeper in Section 4. The alchemy of relationship. Because as they are trekking through the woods, the adrenaline wears off a bit, and they actually have to talk to each other. We learn a lot about what makes them tick.
We do, and we see that Senna is dealing with a lot of shame. She admits she loves money and business, and in her society, that is seen as unwomanly, cold, and calculating. She feels she is hollow. inside.
She thinks she's just a ledger in human form.
Exactly. She's ashamed of her father, the gambler who ruined them. And she carries this deep trauma about her mother, who abandoned the family to pursue the passion of dying.
Oh, that's a key detail.
It's huge. She fears she is just like them, obsessed and broken, one by gambling, the other by this art.
And Finian sees right through that. He respects her. He's amused by her practicality. I mean, she packed soap and ledgers in her escape bag. Yeah. Who packs ledgers for a jailbreak?
A woman who knows her value is in those books. That's her identity. And Finian, he harbors this deep resentment for the English generally. He calls them a plague. But he makes an exception for Senna. He sees her fire. He respects her defiance.
And that fire leads to some serious intimacy amidst the danger. There's this scene on a ridge where they're hiding from riders on the highway. They're pressed into the dirt, bodies touching, adrenaline pumping.
And Senna initiates a kiss.
She does.
Her logic is, if I'm going to die, it will not be lacking a kiss. It's impulsive, it's reckless, and it breaks down the barrier between them. It's her embracing the chaos for the first time in her life.
It's the opposite of a balance sheet.
Completely. But then we have a scene that is intimate in a totally different way. The healing scene. Finian has to re-break her fingers. Yes. Rardov's treatment was brutal and effective at causing pain, but it was bad for healing. The bones were setting crooked. Finian knows that if he leaves it, she'll be crippled for life.
So he has to set them straight.
He does.
That is a level of trust that is hard to comprehend. Allowing someone to inflict that kind of pain on you for your own good.
He uses whiskey to dull the pain, and he distracts her with stories, but he has to inflict agony to help her heal. And afterwards, she tends to the whip marks on his back. It's this reciprocal caretaking.
Right.
They are literally and metaphorically dressing each other's wounds.
It strips away the titles.
Yeah.
They aren't lady and warrior anymore. They're just two broken bodies trying to keep each other moving forward.
There is a vulnerability there that's so powerful. The morning after, Senna watches Finian bathe in a stream. And it highlights the physical attraction, yes, but also the rawness of their situation.
Yeah.
They are stripped of their armor, their ledgers, their social standing. They were just two people trying to survive.
Which brings us to Section 5. The boat and the bluff. They need to move faster, so they decide to steal a boat. A curragh.
And they encounter an old Irishman, a real curmudgeon character, and Senna, being Senna, insists on paying him. Finian mocks this as a very English trait, trying to bribe your way through life.
But the old man takes the coin.
He does, with a wink. It shows that while Finian understands his people, Senna's practicality isn't entirely useless here. Money talks, even in the wild side.
But once they're on the river, things go wrong fast.
Very fast.
They get spotted. English soldiers on the bank call them out. They're trapped in the boat, completely exposed.
This is where Senna's recklessness, as Finian calls it, comes into play again. She's tipsy on whiskey, which she's been drinking to manage the pain in her hand, and she just improvises.
She tears her tunic. She straddles Finian in the boat. It's an incredible move.
It's a brilliant, desperate ruse. She stages a public tryst. She pretends they are lovers so wrapped up in each other that they didn't hear the soldiers calling out.
She weaponizes the soldiers' voyeurism.
Exactly. The soldiers don't look for an escaped prisoner and a noblewoman. They see a peasant couple fooling around in a boat.
And their reaction is predictable.
They hoot, they holler, they laugh. They are so distracted by the sexuality of the scene that they forget to check the faces. They let them pass.
It works because it plays right into the soldiers' expectations.
Yeah.
But for Finian and Senna, the proximity, that performance, it changes everything.
Right. The sexual tension is off the charts. The fake intimacy becomes real pressure. But, and this is so key for Finian's character, he pulls back.
He stops.
He stops. He refuses to take advantage of her reckless state. He knows she's drunk, she's scared, she's running on adrenaline. It shows his honor. He's a protector, not a predator like Rado. It's a fundamental difference between them.
So where does that leave us? The outro. They're still on the run.
They survived the castle, the wall drop, the river crossing, and the patrol boat, but they are heading deeper into hostile territory. They aren't running to safety. They are running toward the objective.
Toward Hutton's Leap.
Right. And the threat level is rising. Rado hasn't given up. He has dispatched his captain, a man named Balf.
And what do we know about Balf?
Balfas is described as a massive, cruel warrior. He's the muscle. He's hunting them down. And the past is catching up to them, too. The sticky things, as Finian calls them.
The sticky things.
Yeah, you know, Senna's family trauma, the legacy of her die-witch mother, and Finian's lost heritage and his duty to his king. All that baggage is coming with them.
It really brings us back to that question of value we started with. Senna spent her life valuing gold and wool because it meant security. Rado values power and weapons. Finian values heritage and duty.
But out there in the mud, stripped of everything, the only thing of true value is the trust between them. They should be enemies, English and Irish, merchant and warrior. But they are the only things standing between each other and death.
It's a powerful pivot. A merchant and a warrior realizing that their only real asset is their partnership.
And that is the hook. Can that partnership survive the pressure of the chase? Can they secure the die manual before Rardov turns the world into a fireball?
It's a high-stakes game of supply and demand, where the demand is for their heads.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
A fascinating look at the Irish warrior. It really makes you look at a wool sweater and maybe a chemistry set a little differently.
It certainly keeps you on your toes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And to our listener, consider this. In your own life, when the ledgers of your daily routine are thrown out the window, when everything goes sideways, who is the person you'd trust to throw you across the river?
That is the question.
Until next time, stay safe in the wild side.